Hello, and we are back again. And I am here with Dan Heder from Activision, and you just brought by X-Men Destiny,
Yes.
which we had a chance to check out. So let's dive right into it because it's got a lot of people talking. It's
Cool.
X-Men.
Yeah, it's the X-Men.
Yeah, so what is this game about?
Well, X-Men Destiny is all about, it's the origin story of 3 new mutants who are just learning that they're mutants for the first time and discovering what their powers are and whether or not they would follow the X-Men philosophy or the Brotherhood philosophy in the larger human-mutant conflicts.
And here we are meeting one of our stars, yes? And who is this, and who are these gas mask people that she's about to beat up?
So the character we're playing as today is Aimi. She's a young teenager from Japan who's just recently arrived to San Francisco, and she's quickly adapting to her newfound mutant powers. The power she's playing with today is one of 3 different core powers you can choose to play with. The one she has is called energy projection, and this is a ranged class power. So you can see it's a light-based attack. Think of like energy from the sun, kind of a yellowish color there. Do some pretty serious damage to your enemies with that.
And we're seeing a melee system here. Do you want to walk us through? Is it a 1-button system, 2-button system?
So the combat in X-Men Destiny is based on each core power has a series of light and heavy attacks. These attacks can be used individually against your enemies, or they can be combined together to perform different finishing moves and different ending moves. These ending moves are each different in terms of what tactical advantage they may or may not have. So one move is really great for taking on like a single enemy. The other ones have larger area of effect damage. So if you've got enemies coming at you from all different sides, you can have a great attack against them.
We've just collected an X gene, which is just timed perfectly to a question I've got in from Jacob in Blair. So it's Jacob Whitfield. I don't know I can't see where you're from, man. When you meet other characters like Nightcrawler and he gives you his X gene, can you have teleporting? Or if you're beating the seat, can you shapeshift like her? How do the X genes kind of decide what you get?
So the X genes work in you find and unlock different X genes hidden throughout the world, and these are either maybe placed or hidden in the world, or they can be earned by completing different challenges and missions that you pick up along the way. So for example, as your reader pointed out, if you were to meet someone like Nightcrawler in the world, you're going to have the opportunity to earn his X genes. Now X genes come in 3 different types. They come in offensive, defensive, and utility classes, and each one has a different type of effect on your core power. I have 3 slots in my core power that I can assign X genes to and upgrade my power in that way. So yes, Nightcrawler, the teleportation might be a power that you could assign to your core power. So, energy projection, in the case of the demo today, we've actually applied one of Surge's X genes for electrical attack to our core power, and now my energy projection has shifted from sort of a solar-based power to now an electrical-based power. Still is a ranged class attack, but now I've got electrical stun that I can execute on my enemies in addition to a number of other abilities like that.
Now, before I take another question, I want to point out, in this battle, we just saw Aimi cast that shield.
Yes.
Well, not cast.
Force field. Yes.
Force field, sorry. Getting my genres mixed up. You want to explain about the second meter underneath the health that people will be seeing up there with the buttons underneath and how that works?
So the force field is actually one example of the special attacks you can perform in the game, and these special attacks are based on a mutant power or M power economy. That power economy is, as you pointed out, represented by the blue meter in the upper corner of the screen. The more you pull off successful combos and enders, the more quickly you fill up that meter, and you can perform those special attacks. Each notch on that meter represents a different attack, and each one is more powerful than the last. So, we might see, let's see if Tim does this today, but that red button, the B button, if you pull off that attack, that's a really powerful ultra attack. There you go. So there it is, critical mass. This is probably your most powerful move in the game, where you can literally obliterate everything on screen by executing that ultra attack. Of course, that drains you of all your M power after you execute that attack, so you've got to be careful about what you do and don't spend your M power.
Now, if you spend all your M power, this is kind of a bad thing. What happens?
Well, it basically zaps you of all your mutant abilities and leaves you a bit more vulnerable. So you just got to be careful about the types of enemies you are going to face off against after you deplete that M power.
All right. now I've got a question from Matthew Lai in Northern Ireland. Will there be co-op or some kind of online mode?
Well, X-Men Destiny is a story based on the origin of New Mutant characters. So we're really focusing on creating a story or a game that tells that story. Because there's so many choices involved with deciding how your character will align himself to either the X-Men or the Brotherhood, and how he or she will help out in this larger conflict. To make that experience really meaningful with another player was proved to be a very big challenge. Not something we're against exploring, but right now we're focusing on the single player experience.
And then to be clear, these are 3 separate mutants that aren't necessarily buddies.
Yeah, they don't know each other. They have no shared experience. They come from all different walks of life. Like I mentioned, Aimi is from Japan. Adrian, who's one of the male playable characters, he's from San Francisco and is the son of a purifier. So he's kind of got this interesting, awkward experience when he becomes a mutant and realizes he's the very thing he's been fighting his whole life. And then our third character is Grant, who's your all-American guy who loves to play football. He's from Georgia, and he's trying to get a scholarship to college right now on football.
The problem, I think, for him. Now, Bruno from Brazil has actually a good question, which is what he wants to know what the little ball rotating around Aimi is, and that's tied to her power stuff that you've been explaining. So do you want to talk to us about how that works?
So your special attacks are, as I mentioned before, represented by the blue power in the upper screen. If you notice, there's a third notch there that has no button assigned to it. That represents your passive ability. Once you fill up your M power, you actually activate a passive ability that's part of your special attack ensemble. So if I have enough M power, that passive ability activates, and that's what that little orbiting ball is around me, is that passive ability. Now I can upgrade that passive ability, and right now I've got 1 ball, but if I were to spend XP and upgrade that, I can go from 1 to 2 to 3 balls, and this is a defensive ability that wards off attacks and protects my health a bit more effectively than if I did not have that ability activated.
And things are about to take a horrible turn. So right now, if you want to, can you set up the scene for us? So Aimi's been trying to help out this courier.
So yeah, you're in Chinatown, and Gambit has kind of proclaimed himself as lord over Chinatown. He's not really with the X-Men or the Brotherhood in our story. He's gone rogue ever since the death of Professor X. It's really upturned kind of the whole structure of the X-Men and Brotherhood, different characters have kind of changed allegiances. So Gambit is kind of lording over Chinatown, and he's got these externals working for him. Your goal in this level is to protect the externals from attack by the purifiers, and in particular, this one external, he's carrying a package that he's trying to get to Gambit, and the purifiers are trying to steal that package because the package may contain some important clues as to the whereabouts of certain kidnapped mutants that you're trying to locate.
Does it, to be clear, the story's not a good time for mutants.
Not a good time for mutants at all. In fact, as I mentioned, Professor X is dead. The mutants are now congregating in San Francisco. You've got Magneto, who's also gone missing for some time, has not made an appearance in some time. And purifiers have risen in numbers greatly recently. Purifiers are an anti-mutant militant organization. And as far as we know, they're behind a lot of the kidnappings that have been going on recently.
All right, and I've got a question from Chogate from Portugal who wants to know if the levels are going to be linear or if there's going to be exploration.
Well, each level has an objective that you are to complete, and you can pick up additional secondary objectives and side quests along the way, depending on the way you interact with characters. The story is, it got a very specific arc to it, and so you do go in a little bit more of a linear fashion through the story from level to level.
All right, well, thank you, sir. We are going to let you go because we've got a Natsume booth tour that needs a watch-in. But thank you for bringing it by. When is the game coming out and what platforms?
The game's coming out this September 2011 on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and the Nintendo Wii and DS systems.
All right, thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure.
We will have more on this game at Comic-Con.
Yes, we will.
Because we will have a show there, and you will be there, and we will have you guys on again.
Very cool.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, there you go. Now it is time to go to Natsume and check out a booth tour. Thanks a lot.